Hi, I just recently uploaded this video. It has a lot of memes and references in it, and if you did see it, it's understandable if you didn't like it. I mean, if you didn't understand it. So I'm here to explain every reference and meme in 5 ways to peak in life in just 5 years. A lot of what is in here, it's pretty self-explanatory if I just show you the original source material it's referencing. Others are a bit more vague and may require some more context and explanation. And some are just straight up references to myself or things that I've been a part of. I'd also appreciate it if you gave a like on the original video. Or not, you know, that's fine too.
Who's gonna stop us?
You know, I don't know why I stopped talking when I needed to explain the first few minutes of the video anyway. The opening is the end segment of my Blue Moon political party video that I made all the way back in 2017, where our protagonist, Ben Dover, just got shut down by the very corporate entities he's been trying to appeal to. Like YouTube! 5 years later, of course, referencing the beginning of the movie Avengers Endgame, in which Thanos gets the choppy toppy from Thursday.
Reyes! We're the bare minimum standards! We only steal the bare minimum! Now give us some bread or flies and some pennies if you can, or else! No, please! I'm going to some Shopkeeper! I'm in debt to student loans! I'm not going to go buy a school has this ever happened?
You can already see on screen the meme in which the creature on Bryan's shirt is referencing. I just wanted to point out that the weird looking A in the PYR isn't Apier, it's pronounced Drug, which means friend in Russian. So the reason why I threw in that totally not forced, the whole world will know your name line, because I wanted to make my own Sonic Frontier status meme that isn't the same green screen that you see all across social media, so I went out and edited my own footage. But I really want to talk about that once in a blue moon line.
Pick a date, and for 24 hours only, you're free from all excessive bail, fines, and punishment.
The actual line was supposed to be, once in a blue moon, we'll forgive all fees, crimes, and punishment. That was the whole reason as to why I decided to call the party Blue Moon. Not because of the alcoholic drink of the same name that didn't even register for me. I just forgot to say the line. That's the whole reason why I have the blue suit and the blue glasses, is because I named it Blue Moon. And you know what? Nobody cared but me. You really are your own worst critic. Continuing with the Sonic references.
Trust me, this won't be the last!
I realized I didn't really have a good way to transition from one scene to the next, so I used a green screen of the Sonic Adventure 2 loading screens. Since every stage in Sonic Adventure 2 is comprised of 2 words, I was struggling with finding the words as to what I could put within the 2-line space for the title. As you can see with money, example given, Dogecoin, because I also put in the $19 Fortnite card copy pasta in the text box.
Okay, $19 Fortnite card. Who wants it? And yes, I'm giving it away.
And with connections, the first thing that came to my mind was that terrible Education Connection song that played on the commercials in the 2000s. Connected for free! Free! With Education Connection! Hey, nice car. Woo! Okay, now this is the big one that trips up a lot of people. Regardless, if you're a huge film nerd, like just shoved in a locker film nerd, well, actually, I like Tarantino, I can look past all the feet. Or if you're just a giant anime weeb that only lives on the internet, it's totally fine and understandable if both nerds are going to be lost because there's going to be so much being thrown at you all at once. And I'm the cringiest entertainment nerd I know. I idolize a Food Network star. I don't even think human females exist. I spent over 900 hours in the Pokemon game that everybody hates. Why do these people think it's a good idea to help me? Why am I put in charge now? The author of Chainsaw Man, Tatsuki Fujimoto, happens to not only be a giant anime weeb, but also a giant huge film nerd. In collaboration with Mappa Studios, Fujimoto wore his inspiration on his sleeves and chose some of his most favorite movies to be included in the Chainsaw Man opening. My initial plan was to recreate this opening one for one up until the movie theater scene. However, I ran out of time while filming and I didn't have enough people when I was filming. So I did what any other creative would do. I gave up. And then I realized that if I'm limited by my time, resources, or people around me, that just means that I need to get more creative. For example, the beginning isn't necessarily recreating the opening shot from Chainsaw Man, it's more so recreating the shot from Reservoir Dogs. Luckily, Bryan, Dustin, and I were able to cross the paths of a couple of local fraternity guys that just happened to be walking towards our direction, so it was nice that they were able to help. What would have been a reference to Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually is something a bit different. It's not like the cemetery you see in Texas Chainsaw Massacre or in Chainsaw Man, and that may be a somewhat familiar figure because that is in fact Thomas, who helped me out in the making of Who is Brahms Man and the Blue Moon Political Party video. However, as strange as this sounds, this is actually a reference to something that hasn't been made yet. There are some other references that I put in that aren't made yet. The next scene is Pulp Fiction, but instead of an actual gun or prop gun in public, I'm using a Halo plasma pistol. This one is also really interesting because a friend asked me to film one of their first short films they ever directed called Indoctrination, where I was a plague doctor. It would have been easy if I just sat on a bed and tried taking off my shoe to replicate the scene from No Country for Old Men, but I already had the bird mask and I was already a part of this film, so it's kind of a reference upon a reference upon a reference. I was in a short film, and this is used to reference an anime and a feature-length film, which the anime is referencing itself. This is just referenceception, and this one is actually referencing a completely different movie. The original had Chainsaw Man referencing a scene from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes from 1978. However, I could not find a small enough room, so instead, I happened to help recreate a scene from the Italian movie called Bicycle Thieves, where, funny enough, that was actually my first time ever riding a bike, and it was a lot of fun. This next one references the Japanese film Don't Look Up. However, I didn't have anybody to help me film this with. This whole extended black and white scene is a shot-for-shot remake of the dance scene from the movie 8½, which is referenced by one of the most famous Quentin Tarantino movies, Pulp Fiction, where John Travolta and Uma Thurman's characters are dancing in the milkshake restaurant. They're referencing the scene, so I thought, might as well reference a movie that's referencing another movie, right? From multiple different sources across the internet, there are many people debating as to whether or not this is a reference to the Mickey Mouse hot dog dance scene from Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse, or if it's from the Japanese idol group Morning Masamune from their 2002 song Soda, We Are Alive, or if it's actually a reference to the Chainsaw Man story itself, in which the character Kobeni has a very iconic dance scene later on in the story. No spoilers. If you want my perspective, this could just be an original thing, but considering the piece of media and its author, it could be all of the above. As with all forms of art, your interpretation is the correct interpretation. Until a stranger on the internet tells you you're wrong. 3D rotating head of Saul Goodman on a flip phone.
We're all solved.
Does the defendant or the client have anything they want to say?
Constitutional and Blue Moon exclusive rights guaranteed.
Does the defendant have anything else he wants to say?
All according to Cake. That's step number 4 for you. I know that one was a real blink and you miss it, so I'm going to slow it down, bring back the replay for you. That's actually a very old multi-layered weeb reference. Back in the day, before Crunchyroll made a profit off of making piracy cool, a lot of anime fans had to resort to fan sub translations. This one in particular is a reference to a 2007 fan translation of the anime Death Note, in which the translator is translating the lines of the character Light Yagami. However, in the subtitles, he puts just according to Keikaku, and then above the subtitles, he puts in parentheses translator's note. Keikaku means plan, which seems completely redundant if you're translating something from Japanese to English. It's quite silly, but the reference I'm referring to is a deviation from the just according to Keikaku, where in the Dragon Ball Z abridged YouTube fan dub series by Team 4-Star, they use the very same joke. In Japanese, the word Keikaku is similar to the Japanese word for cake, which is keki. However, I decided to do a little bit of trolling and keep that Death Note fan translator spirit alive and decided to put some incorrect translations myself. I put the hiragana word for Keikaku and incorrectly translated to the word plain. Additionally, I put the word keki, which means cake, but I said it meant khakis, because learning a completely new language is already hard enough, and I want to make it even harder for you specifically. The poorly green screen blurred background is meant to show a courtroom, and since I used one too many Better Call Saul references today, I decided to use the live-action courtroom set of the Ace Attorney movie, which actually isn't that bad considering a lot of live-action anime adaptations are drinking that dummy juice. I just put that in because I thought it was funny. Also, the absurdity of stealing in a courtroom hammers in the idea that everything is taken from something else, even in the most absurd of places.
In the wise words of the Happy Tree Friends writers that have dug the grave of our favorite blue rat for the better part of a decade,
no copyright law in the universe is going to stop me.
It's understandable for those who aren't Sonic Turbo nerds like me that you wouldn't get this joke. By Happy Tree Friends writers, I mean the writing duo of Ken Pontac and Warren Graff. And by our favorite blue rat, of course I mean our favorite blue hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog. Fun fact, unlike rats, which are actually rodents, hedgehogs aren't rodents. They belong to a completely different family group known as Eulipotifla. Moles and shrews also belong to this family as well. This is because they have different lifestyles, different teeth, and different diets. Pontac and Graff, unfortunately, aren't rodents or Eulipotifla. They're comedy writers. More specifically, they've written for a lot of children's animation. Ironically enough, they just happen to be more known for Happy Tree Friends. They were brought on to write for Sonic Colors in 2010, which was the most well-received Sonic game at the time, and the lighter tone in terms of storytelling was a welcome change of pace.
At the time!
From 2010, they continued writing for the main series games until 2019's Team Sonic Racing. And to many, that was probably way too long, considering how poorly received the Sonic characterizations, narratives, and their gameplay were received at the time of the 2010s. Thankfully, the newly brought on comic book writer Ian Flynn, who really seems to care about the character, the dark meta era seems to not be much of a problem anymore. So now I don't feel as bad joking about it.
Either you live cringe or you die base. And if you run out of luck, you make your own. Just watch.
I'm out of here.
The ending banter during the credits was just the most perfectly unscripted improv from Bryan and Nick. But what I really want to get to now that we're wrapping things up is the main message as to why I made this video. When I made the Blue Moon political party video, that was meant to be an alternative assignment for school. Either I write a boring essay that nobody cares about, or I make a video. I saw a lot of these other teenagers' videos who are so incredibly creative, but they don't know what to do with their lives, and they just turned in the bare minimum because they just see that as work. Art shouldn't be treated as work. Of course, all artists and entertainers need money in order to make a living off of what they create so they can continue creating. However, what I dislike the most about the entertainment industry as a whole is how easy it is for these creators to be taken advantage of and exploited by those higher up on the totem pole. This is exactly what was going through my head when I was given the prompt, where do you see yourself in 4 to 5 years? To put it simply, obviously I don't know. If I were to tell myself 4 to 5 years ago that this is what I'd be doing right now, I'd kind of laugh. Realistically just say, okay, I didn't really expect much anyway. Nobody's ever really expected anything out of me to begin with. A younger me would just say, just make whatever. Do what's fun. And if it's dumb or nobody else cares but you, then that's all that really matters. You should be your own biggest fan first and foremost, because if you don't like what you make, there's a 100% guarantee that there's plenty of other people that don't like it either. But if comedy and entertainment is a career that I want to take seriously with my life, how can I realistically make a living off of that? And how can you really call one idea your own if for all of human history, everything has been done? And every good idea that you see, that you love from your favorite artists, has been done in some variation before they did it. For better and worse, like freaking Seth Rogen? Oh my god. I can't. At the end of the day, art is subjective. All the greats that you admire and love and respect, you'll never be them because they're them and you're you. And whatever you're gonna make, even if you have a beautifully passionate, diehard fan base that loves everything that you do, there's always going to be Twitter that exists. And there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like what you do. The simplest thing you can do is also the hardest thing you can do, which is also the most unhelpful thing that you can hear. Do you. Be yourself. Everything is cringe because everything has been done before and nothing is original. So just enjoy yourself and have fun doing what you like to do. Childhood is thinking that everything is cringe. Adulthood is accepting that everything is cringe, especially you. So embrace it, own up to it. That's the only way a true Giga Chad can become base. And if you want to make a career out of your creative works, then that territory comes with flexibility and compromise. If you can't do that and enjoy it, then maybe the field that you're in isn't for you. Maybe there's a different field that you can excel more at, but that'll be on you. What isn't on you is if there's some legal Karen that wants to poo-poo all over your parade. Remember what I said. Compromise, flexibility. If you're limited by the things, people, or resources around you, that just means you need to get more creative. The more limitations that you have on you does not mean that you're unable to do anything and that you can't be happy. That just means you have more opportunities to be creative in different ways. You only really lose when you stop creating. So keep creating. Of course, breaks are healthy. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a stranger on the internet. Have a good year.